A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Viewers, you are welcome to another edition of our outing with taking the views of some eminent Muslim personalities across the country as regards Sharia implementation in Nigeria. Today, we have the privilege of speaking with a renowned Islamic scholar. He's known everywhere across the world. Here in Fodia Islamic Center, Zaria in Kaduna State. Our guest today is no other person but Sheikh Ibrahim Zakzaky. Sheikh Ibrahim Zakzaky is one of the leaders of the Shiite sects of the Muslims in Nigeria, if not the leader. He's one of the prominent leaders we know. To some people from afar, they call him a controversial man. But I want to tell you, when you have the privilege of getting closer to him, you will discover that Sheikh Ibrahim Zakzaky is not only a peaceful man, but he's a man of high integrity and honor. Today, Sheikh will let us know his own views as regards the Sharia implementation in Nigeria. Sheikh, you are welcome on board.
Thank you very much.
First and foremost, sir, you have to set the ball rolling. What is Sharia?
Well, I really wish you started by the definition of myself, which you wrongly define anyway. We don't believe that there is a sect in Islam anyway. Focus of someone being one of the leaders or overall leader of that sect. Islam has no sect at all. And what we have here in Nigeria is what we call Islamic movement. And the movement is not, the Islamic movement is not a formal name of an organization duly registered like you have other organizations. It is an expression of an idea of a struggle to establish Islamic system of rule and justice over the society in which we find ourselves. So we consider ourselves members of the Islamic movement. All right. Now you also you can be a member, or maybe you are one, but we make distinction between active member of an Islamic movement and passive member. So perhaps you might consider as with the little we contribution we make as being activists. All right. Now, coming to your question, just to correct your wrong definition.
Thank you very much,
Sheikh.
Sheikh.
Of myself.
Thank you very much.
Then the meaning of Sharia.
Yeah.
Sharia is a code of law governing the life of Muslims as individuals, as families, and as communities. And that community can be from a small ward of people or a village, a district, to a state, and even the interstate, or in other words, the international community. Sharia has all aspects of rules governing the life of mankind as a whole. Now, for a Muslim, it is like a dynamic side of Islam. Islam being the static theory, the Sharia being the dynamic aspect. That is, in short, when you put Islam in practice, you are in a sense following the Sharia. Now, Sharia has unfortunately been misdefined, just as you misdefine me. Right. It is wrongly and erroneously taken to be synonymous with punishment. Whenever Sharia is mentioned, what normally comes to the mind of someone is punishment. This is a legal system which has harsh punishments against offenders, and that offenses are to do with moral offenses, and the harsh punishments include stoning, cutting of hands, and cutting of head, and so on and so forth. Agreed, there is punishment as part of the legal system. As of course, punishment is part of every legal system. But in Islam, the punishment which they normally refer to is considered as infinitesimal part of it. In fact, in every book of Sharia which you take, the first chapter will be dealing with faith. The second area will come dealing with worship, forms of worship, relationship between man and God, and then the other aspect will be transactions between man and man. And if you punishment will come at the end of it, and it may not take up to 2% of the total of any single volume on Sharia. However, whenever Sharia is mentioned, what immediately comes to the mind of ordinary people is that is a small aspect of it. We agree there are punishment, but the punishment have also been erroneously understood to be harsh. The punishment has a wisdom. It was prescribed as a preventive measure. It has never been meant to punish people as such, but rather to deter them from committing crime. So Islam envisages a society, a just society, in which no crime will be committed, and there is no reason for anyone to commit such crime. And as a preventive measure, a punishment is also always hanging, which will always prevent people from committing it. Yes, maybe in a sanctuary, such punishment, some punishment must be administered, or it might not be administered at all, but they are there. But it is important to understand that Sharia is a complete legal system, the kind of which is not available anywhere in the world, which governs the life of entire mankind from all stratas, from the individual to the international.
Thank you very much, Sheikh. Today, in Nigeria, some states in the northern region of the country have started implementation of Sharia. Sheikh, how do you react to this? Is it a welcome idea?
Yes, it is indeed a welcome idea, in the sense that for the first time since the coming of the colonialists, we see those in authority addressing themselves to the yearning and aspirations of those they govern. Hitherto, those who govern only thinks of themselves. Now, at least when someone speaks of code of law governing the life of the people according to their belief, is now thinking that he can no longer govern them according to his own wishes, but according to what they believe. And indeed, it has been the yearning and aspiration of the people of this country, the Muslim people rather, the Muslim people of this country, to realize that Islamic system they have lost to the colonialists about 100 years ago. So in that respect, it is indeed a welcome idea.
Thank you very much, sir. Do you think, Sheikh, the Sharia system can really alleviate the socio-economic problem if it's given a chance?
Of course, a lot of people think that I have a different view entirely about Sharia, and they put it recklessly, and they do my name and my definition, you know. Now, they thought that I was opposed to the idea of the application of Sharia, or even the very Sharia itself, something which nobody can think about. We believe that Sharia is a legal system, an Islamic legal system, meant to be practiced in an Islamic state by an Islamic government. Thus, to have a Sharia, you have to have an Islamic society first, with an Islamic government. At least this is what we understood from the teaching of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. When he came with the message in Mecca, we could see that all the verses sent to him in Mecca were emphasizing on faith until one faith was established. It was in Medina when laws governing rules and regulation governing life of people started coming. We must say that the Prophet has established Sharia only after he has established a state. Similarly, we could see a good example from the history of Sheikh Usman Lampodio here. He could as well call on the Hausa rulers to implement Sharia, which they would have erroneously understood to mean punishment system, and they would have welcomed idea. Well, they would have welcomed the idea, and even perhaps employ him and his disciples as the judges in those courts to administer the law. But the Sheikh who started with what must come first, have the Islamic system governing the society in place, then you have the Sharia to follow. And today, under the present system of governance, which is you can call it anything you like, but you cannot call it Islam. You cannot start to implement Sharia under it. If you do, you will come up across a lot of contradictions. And yes, as the practice has already shown, when laws, Sharia courts will pass a judgment, and an appeal will be made on a court which is not Sharia, which is considered to be Abba, and that will set aside the Sharia rule. That will show you in a way that the Sharia system has to rule the society first before you have Sharia in place. So it's a question of what must come first, the horse before or the cart. I think those who think of Sharia first are putting the cart before the horse, and in such they will find it difficult to move. Of course, I will agree that partial Sharia can be implemented in any society, even in a non-Muslim society, as many aspects of Sharia has been borrowed by some European societies. Take, for example, the case of considering an accused person innocent until proved guilty. This is an idea which they have borrowed from Islam. I understand that in French law, an accused person is considered guilty until proved innocent, contrary to our own. But in many societies, they agree that a accused person is innocent until proved guilty. But even in Islam, there is a case in which you are considered guilty until proved innocent. That is when you come with a report, which can be false, like intelligence report. Then you should be considered accused. Like when you come with a report concerning someone, and if that report is taken in its words, that person should be punished, for example. Then the person will not be punished. You will be considered innocent. Then you who brought the information will be guilty until you are proven innocent. But you are not guilty, but that you will be punished, but you will be considered a liar until your truth is being established. All right. That's like in the Quran, Allah says, "In ja'akum fasiqun binaba'in fatabayyanu." Here, fasik is somebody who is, like you might say, if a guilty person brings you an information, verify. Here he is verified already as a guilty person, because he is considered here as a liar. So if a liar comes with an information, to verify it before taking action. That so whoever comes with information, what do you call him first? A liar until proved truthful. Yes.
Thank you very much, Sheikh. Sir, the public would like to know, can you just enumerate some of the advantages the Sharia system have over the other conventional system?
Well, in the first place, the two cannot be compared, in the sense that this is a case of divine law with man-made law. It's like you are comparing the wisdom of God Almighty and the wisdom of man, and you are asking me who is more wise, God or man. Sharia is not man-made law; it's a divine law by the Creator Himself, who knows His creation better than the creation knows itself. All right. And it is coming also from the most just. So it is based on justice. And Allah, right from the beginning, has forbade injustice to himself and has made it forbidden upon us to be unjust. So he is the most just. So therefore his law is the most just, whether we understand the wisdom or not. But even if we study the law, we will come to understand that there is a lot of wisdom in it, even to our own understanding. And here you are also comparing what is attached to your own conviction and belief with something which you only desire to make. All right. Now, in the Sharia is based on what we are convinced and we believe in it. All right. Rather than a law which is maybe based on our whims and caprices, which may change from time to time. All right. Here you are talking also about, you comparing about what is permanent, everlasting, and what will come and go. The Sharia will continue to be the sole law until the last hour. But man-made laws will come this day. After some time, they will, what do they call justice? They will now say it is injustice. All right. What they call human right, they say violation of human right, and so on and so forth. We see a lot of things which they consider progress. They now say this is backward. It's no longer development. You cannot compare with that. So man who is just experimenting, making trial and errors, and only will realize his own error after he has suffered a lot. All right. You cannot compare his own law with the law of the divine law, which is free from such errors. Right. Now the advantage then of are many. When you take the Islamic law, you just relieve yourself of all these punishments of trial and error. Take for example, God all-wise and all-knowing knows the greedy, the man is greedy, and he has therefore taken upon himself to divide inheritance. The question of inheritance in Islam is settled in the Quran, not even by hadith of the Prophet. All right. Now we find that in each society that apart from the Muslims, you have a lot of squabbles over inheritance, but you don't have such with Muslims, because the one that divides the shared everything is the Almighty Himself, and people are convinced that this is all making. They agree with it. They see wisdom in it, and therefore Muslims don't have problem with inheritance. Similarly with other cases like marriage and and other things.
Thank you very much, Sheikh. Sir, the people that don't know anything about Islam, some know. I'm talking about the people of the other faith. They term Sharia to be a barbaric law, just like rightly said that once that name Sharia is mentioned, what comes to their mind is cutting of hand, flogging of people, cutting of people's head. Please, is Sharia really a barbaric law?
Well, unless they will want to say that God Almighty is Himself, those they ascribe such terrible adjectives to Him, we don't question His own wisdom. He created us and He knows what is best for us. We don't care about those who do not share our beliefs concerning that, so long as it's our conviction. So one criteria should be as the Muslims, not the non-Muslims. Now, it's a matter of your own belief. Somebody might think that it looks absurd for someone to marry more than one wife, marry many wives and have so many children. But ask those wives who share their husband with other wives, do they mind?
No.
If they don't mind, what is your business then? All right. Now, ask the Muslims, do they consider these punishments as ascribed in the Quran harsh or unjust? No Muslim will tell you yes. So, what is the business of the non-Muslim? When we see that they ascribe other punishments which are harsher, indeed more, in fact they are fit to answer the name barbaric. Yet they claim that is, what do you call it? They consider it modern, progressive, and so on. It might be after some time that they will come to realize that theirs is barbaric law and come to terms with what Islam has prescribed. Mark you, Islamic punishment envisage is just society in which there is no reason for someone to commit a crime. So we don't envisage that there will be criminals and we will go on punishing them. The idea of the punishment is that thou shalt not commit the crime, and that's all. And hardly in an Islamic society you find such crimes taking place. Take for example the idea where now they consider it progressive, that they don't kill those who kill others. They have serial killers. Of recent in Europe, one doctor answering bishop has been known to murder about 150 people by injection. Yet the man still lives. If he is given chance, he will still kill more. Just a day before yesterday, I was watching a television show, reality TV, on this on a subject, serial killer, and they was interviewing a serial killer. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. He has killed many people, and he said that even today, if he gets out, he will continue to kill. And some others were saying, well, that person deserves to die, like someone whose daughter he has killed. She said that man should not live because he has killed her daughter. Others who were victims, his own victim, I mean the relative of his own victims, were asking for justice, that man should be killed. But others who consider themselves wise were saying that he should never be given a parole or pardon at all. But in the end of the day, that man, maybe after some 15 years, he will be pardoned and he will still go and commit same crime. And if that is they consider justice, even though people, have different views, they still debate over whether if there's any justice in sparing the life of a killer, a serial killer for that matter. But in Islam, we have no confusion about it. It is very clear. You take life, you pay with your own. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Sheikh. Still on this propaganda by the West. Why the need for all these things? By the grace of God, you are an authority as far as the Muslim world is concerned there today, whether you like it or not. Some says that this Sharia, by practicing Sharia, you are enslaving the women. Is it true?
Well, I have rightly said it. As the woman, as the Muslim woman, what do they feel about it? Is it the wearing of hijab or what? Ask the Muslim woman.
Okay.
What is their view about it? Don't ask someone who is looking at the Muslim woman. Now, Muslim women are the most liberated among all women in the world, among all cultures and all religions. In fact, if there's any area where women are enslaved, it's in those societies which claim to give them equality with men. By nature, they don't have strong body as men, but they are made to work as men, but they are paid as men. They are supposed to be paid more if they work like men, because they exert more effort. All right. And then what is more, when where uniforms are required, men in those cold countries put shirt with necktie and put long trousers, but women are made to go half naked despite all the cold, in order to expose some parts of their body which men are interested in seeing. All right. So they are made to be like flowers decorating streets in the name of freedom. And they spend a lot in buying what to decorate themselves in order to be equal to man according to them. And the manufacturers of those cosmetics benefit a lot, and they are not given cosmetic allowance, and so on and so forth. They claim that they liberate women, but in fact it is they who enslave them. In Islam, it is based on justice. You give every person his own position. So the women are given their proper right according to their own nature and ability. All right, they earn as men, they own wealth as men, they inherit as men, they have a lot of rights as men, but they are not equal, because by their nature they have not been created equal. When you say they are equal in their nature, you actually deceive them and you actually cheat them. So the proper the balance will be you give them their own proper position. Where more effort is needed on physical, your effort is needed, it should go to men, not men and women. All right, you can see that here they are being given their own proper position according to their nature and according to their own physical ability as well.
Thank you very much, sir. Nigeria today, what do you see? What is the future of Sharia in Nigeria? What is the prospect?
Well, one thing is clear, that the Nigerian society, whether one likes it or not, whether he agrees with it or not, it is a society in which the Muslims are majority. I do hear some people even question that, but it is the reality is there. Question it as much as you like, but the reality is that the Muslims are majority in this country, and it has been the yearning and aspiration of the Muslim people to have Sharia govern their life, and there is a limit to how long you will keep on telling Muslims of this country that Islam is not good for them. One day, whether you like it or not, they will find themselves in a situation where Sharia and Sharia alone governs their life, like it or not. It is a matter of time. So in the future of this country, whether one likes it or not, the future of this country is Islam, because it has been the yearning and aspiration of the Muslim people, and they are in majority. It is left to those who are not Muslims to decide for themselves whether to go along with the Muslims according to what the Muslims want, or opt for their own determination, whatever they might determine for themselves.
Thank you very much. Sheikh, do you have any advice for the government of the Sharia states?
Yes, I have said it earlier that you have Islam first, then you have Sharia second. I appreciate the effort of people who think they should do something according to what the Muslim people want. Okay, like I rightly said, it is for the first time we see those in authority addressing the yearning and aspiration of the people. But what must come first must come first. It is very clear that the present society is governed by a system which is not Islam. Why not try and make it Islamic first, so that you have Islamic law being separate, not under a law which is separate to it, as is in the saying of the Prophet, Al-Islam ya'alu wa la yu'la alayh. Islam triumphs and nothing triumphs above it. Now you cannot place Sharia under a law which is not Sharia. When you place it under a law which is not Sharia, then you give that law an upper hand, you give it an authority to declare Sharia null and void. How can man make law, and then his law, his law will come suffering above the law of Almighty Allah, right? So first thing first. If you think that presently you cannot agitate for Islam, at least come to terms with the reality. Don't say you are applying a total Sharia. Say you are making a reform such that you are incorporating more Sharia into the system. Alright, that's the truth. And then try to see what you can do for the Muslims, because it's not only the Sharia that they want. The ignorance is there, the poverty is there. Alright, address those things as well and make foundation for a better future.
Thank you very much. Today in Nigeria, Sheikh, how do you describe the relationship between the federal government under President Olusegun Obasanjo and the Muslims in Nigeria?
Well, I think that things have really changed, at least in the way Muslims used to look upon themselves before the coming of colonialists, during the colonialists, and immediately after the colonial rule, the First Republic, and now. The Muslim people of this area have governed themselves before the coming of colonialists. The colonialists came, they showed upper hand in technology of destruction, not in civilization. We are more civilized than they are. We have Islam, they don't have. But they came with weapons of mass destruction, which we do not have. They have no sympathy and no regard for human life, which they massacred. And our religions have forbidden us from doing that. So it's through instrument of destruction that they have established their authority here. They didn't bring knowledge to us, they didn't bring civilization to us. We are more knowledgeable, we are more civilized. But they brought this technology of destruction. All right. Now, under that, their subjugation, the Muslim people saw them as, as what they are. People who have established might by reason of power and weapon. All right. After their departure, one might expect us to go back to what we had been before they came. But even though we didn't go back, at least there was a tremendous influence of Islamic idea upon the people. So nobody will have think of a non-Muslim having any upper hand over a Muslim, at least in the past Republic. Then we witnessed the military rule for many years, which up to now one might say that it is nothing more than military rule anyway, even though the soldiers might wear civilian clothes, but they remain what they are, soldiers, okay, and they are applying military rule. So I consider what is happening now is not what you as a sort of a government in which you have the people choosing their leaders or choosing what they will what will govern them. It is still a military rule imposed upon us with the support and whether with the support of those colonialists who have established their own rule also through military. The colonial rule and military rule look alike. This is what we are having now. Don't mind seeing the generals wearing civilian clothes. They are still generals, and they still apply military power to impose their rule. Even in election, it was a gun that elected them, not votes. They have not been voted, but they voted themselves with the power of a gun. They simply wrote the results and then declared themselves winners. Even though some of their opponents were also in the same military gear before them, they more or less, we don't have a situation where people have a choice. So it is up to the Muslim people to think of what will deliver them. And certainly they should look towards their own religion, Islam, where they have all the answers for all the problems. That's the way I see it. I don't think, presently Muslim will consider that there is a government. Personally, I don't think there is a government in this country.
So in other words, you agree with the view of other people that says that in this present government, the Muslims are being marginalized?
Well, their system is not even recognized anyway. Islam is not even recognized. And a Muslim has honor only when Islam has, not just because he is a man and answering the name Muslim. All right. When you don't consider his religion as anything, you don't consider him as anything as well. So I think what we have here is a system determining what should be done, and that system is not Islam. Rather than seeing it in terms of who is a Muslim. Otherwise, I will say, who put those in authority now? Are they not the same Muslim generals? The same Muslim generals decide a Christian general should come and because he will serve their purpose better, their own personal purpose, not Islamic purpose. Okay. Mind you, I don't care who governs this country, Muslim or non-Muslim, as long as it is not Islam that is governing the society.
Well, Sheikh, thank you very much for this time out, for sparing us out of your time
You have
schedule.
asked your last question. You only added the last after the last.
Okay, that is okay. Okay, well, finally, Sheikh, what is your message to the Nigerian Muslim
No, I have made the message.
already?
That was your last question.
Of course.
Then you went to politics.
Of
It was
course.
first on Sharia, then you went to
The
politics.
yes.
So I didn't know how to relate your political question
And the other,
with Sharia.
just to
Yeah,
be
but actually I
in
have
tune,
answered
the messages.
the message. Well, is it message particularly?
I said the
Muslim?
message to the government of the Sharia. That was the first thing I asked.
Okay. Then
Now,
this
the second one
message
is,
to-
what is the message to
the
the
Muslim
entire
people.
Muslims in Nigeria?
Okay, for the Muslims, it is very clear that it has been the yearning and aspiration of the Muslim people to realize Islam, which they have lost to the colonialists. We should endeavor to realize it, and one should not be deceived into thinking that he will expect Islam from the present rulers or the incoming rulers or through election. Sheikh Usman Danfodio has found a situation where the Hausa rulers were ruling and governing the society. He did not ask the Hausa kings to implement Sharia or to implement Islam. Rather, what the Sheikh did was to call upon the Muslim people to rise against the tyrant rulers and make sure that it is Islam that has governed them. In the end of the day, that's what he has realized. So this is a challenge before this society. You shouldn't just sit down and think that governors or heads of states or what have you will one day bring Islam to you. Never. It has never happened. If it will happen that way, God Almighty will have no reason to send Moses when there was Pharaoh. He will have sent Pharaoh with a message, and Pharaoh will have implemented the Sharia, and that will have been all. And that is all. People have the challenge is before the Muslim people to say it has come to an end with they have come to an end with the system governing them, which is not Islam. They want Islam. That's right now. This is what we are hearing from the Muslims.